Following is my conversation with Wolfgang Hohmann, founder of Wolfi's Bikes in the United Arab Emirates. From humble beginnings selling bikes from a corner of his brother's garage in Germany's Black Forest to building one of the Middle East's most prestigious cycling retail operations, Wolfi's story is a testament to the power of persistence and adaptability. What started as a side hustle while working as a chef eventually grew into a cycling empire that caught the attention of the UAE Royal family, who became an investment partner in 2021. Today, Wolfi's operates 12 business units, including retail locations, distribution, events management, and cycling academies with over 150 employees. His unique blend of hospitality mindset and cycling passion has not only built a successful business, but has helped transform cycling culture across the UAE. This is the Business of Cycling podcast. Well, hello, Wolfi Hohmann. Nice to finally meet you. We've been kind of going back and forth on email, so I'm glad we finally got to sit down together. Where does this podcast find you today?
Yes, I'm in the UAE, and thank you for having me on the podcast. I think it's a great show, and I've listening to a lot of the episodes, and I think it's really some good insights you're providing from the cycling industry. So, and I'm honored to be part of the show, and I'm today in our office in Dubai, in the UAE.
Very cool. So yeah, we crossed paths. I think Steve Smith introduced us at Eurobike, and when we were doing a panel at Eurobike this summer, and he mentioned, kind of told me a little bit about your store, and so I was curious. So we got connected, and so here we are. I think today I'd love to hear. I've only had, man, I don't think I've had a bike shop owner on the show yet. You're the first, but I'm excited to have you on. Yeah, you're the first one. And so I guess today I really want to dive into what it means to be a bike shop owner, how that has changed over the last 10 or 15 years. Maybe we can dive in a little bit about what it's like being a bike shop owner in abroad. But I'd love to just start with your background, your story, and tell us a little bit about where you're from and kind of where you grew up.
Very good, thank you. I'm born in Germany in the Black Forest and went to school there, and then started an apprenticeship in a hotel. And it was kind of covering all the aspects you have to do in a hotel, from reception, housekeeping. And one of the things we did was as well creating a guest program for our guests. And it was 1986 when kind of mountain biking started. And we got some mountain bikes and rented them to our hotel guests. And this is how it all started. So I saw how people enjoyed cycling, and I wanted to do a bit of a side hustle. So I asked my director of the hotel, said, listen, would it be okay if I take a bike and try to sell it on my day off when I went home and visited my brother and my family? My brother had a bit of a car repair place, and I took a little corner, and then I started selling bikes, and I was kind of 16, 17 at that time. And when I was 18, I registered a business in Germany, and it took
At 18.
Yes, with 18. Yes.
18
It
years
was the
old.
first time I could register a business. Yeah.
Wow. So you kind of had this entrepreneurial spirit like in your blood.
Yes.
Tell me
My
about that.
parents
Like,
had businesses, my brother all have businesses, my family, all of them have a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit. And so I started, and then I had another apprenticeship as a chef. And I think that's hospitality mindset is something which always stayed with me. And I think it's maybe one of the things which make us different, that we always were very, very customer focused. And that was from the first 5 years, which I spent in an apprenticeship, once in the hotel, once in the kitchen, and looking after customers. I think that's something which kind of was ingrained in my upbringing. And then usually in Germany, it was like you went to the army. I worked in a hotel because I was interested. I was working in a hospital. I was interested in nutrition and what happens. And it allowed me as well to run my business after my regular job. So I started early morning. Early shift started at 5. I could finish at 2. At 3 o'clock, I opened my business, my small bike shop, which was really just a corner with 2, 3 bikes. And in the evening, I was working in a sports club, like a gym, to recruit as well customers. It was before the days where we had kind of these registration cards and making some protein drinks and stuff. So, and it was always a good way to connect with new customers. And that was all going on for a couple of years. Then I unfortunately lost my job in the hospital because of a reform in the healthcare system in Germany, which pushed me going full-time and being self-employed with my bicycle business. And that went on for a couple of years. Looking back, that was really good that I got pushed into making
Right.
this decision. Otherwise, I would have maybe stayed in my comfort zone.
Sure.
And then around my 30th birthday, my brother lived in Dubai, one of my brothers.
Well,
And
hold on before we jump into that. So you were saying you had a career in a hospital for a while. You started working in a
yes,
hospital
just working as a chef.
as a chef. So you were originally a chef, and but you had the bike business at the time.
Yes,
But
always separately, but
how did you
that was
manage the two? Did you have employees that ran it, or
no, it was my brother had this car repair shop, and I told people I will be there at 3 o'clock. So we open in the afternoon until 7 in the evening. So that was the time I was there, and I could do this almost every day of the week. And then I had 2 days off, which I was working as well. You know, man, it was just a passion, and I never really.
but it was
I was
more
working
word it was
more or
word
less
of
seven
mouth.
days a week.
It was more
Yes,
word of mouth. And
yes.
where were you buying the bikes from?
We had, luckily, we got a kind of the location for it with GT. We're working with Sport Import in Germany and
Okay,
other
so
with Grover. These are big distribution companies. We had a smaller bike manufacturer, Kirsch. They made some bicycles there. So we bought from them, and the bicycle was very small. It wasn't really, actually, I remember the visit of the GT representative from Sport Import and the people from Go Bikewear. And my bike shop was really only a corner in a garage, and they were quite surprised. And actually, I went around and collected some bikes from my friends because I wanted to look a little bit bigger. But for some reason, they believed in me, so I collected the bikes I had sold to my family, and I put them up so it looked like we had a few more bikes than we really had. And
But
really, they
how were you getting clients? Like I don't understand how did you get customers? Like if you're working as a chef and you're doing this on the side, how did you get into this community? I'm presuming that you caught the wave of mountain biking and the kind of we're probably talking about the 90s here,
yes, correct,
1990s.
correct,
And so
correct.
you sort of caught the wave of mountain bikings and there weren't any mountain biking hotels or I'm sorry, mountain biking shops that were specialized in mountain biking. So you kind of had some connections. Is that how that worked or what?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. It was just word of mouth. And I always kind of, when I had a conversation with someone, I think I became a master of changing every conversation into a bicycle conversation. And it was just like people saw us riding in Germany, where we grew up, or where I grew up, was a small village and everybody knows everyone. So when people saw you riding your mountain bike and they got excited, and as you rightly said, it was a new trend. Mountain biking in the 90s was just something new. And as we were kind of new to the business, I wasn't as much into road cycling. I thought always that it's almost a bit weird that people cycle on these thin tires where we had a beautiful black forest and we could ride in the mountains. And we were kind of the young generation, the newcomers in the market. And we were lucky with the brands we got, that we had really the GT, which was maybe one of the most famous brands at that time.
Yeah.
And I remember how we were selling really well, and it was surprising. And for some reason as well, we got Gore bikewear, and they had these Gore-Tex jackets, and we sold, and the vests, wind vests, protective vests, and we sold.
All by word of mouth?
Yes, yes, and it just started. You know, what I mean, it was, to be honest, it was a very small business, and
Right.
and
I
it
mean,
was only a while.
we're talking, what are we talking? Maybe a couple bikes a month and a couple
Yes,
like 10 pieces of kit or something like that. Like
yes,
nothing crazy. Okay. So
nothing crazy.
it was a small, you bring it in from the distributor, you sell it out. So it was more of a hobby.
Yes, yes,
Okay. But enough to where you had a little extra money in your pocket sometimes, right?
yes.
Okay.
And it was exciting to see, to build as well a community about mountain biking and just having fun myself. And it was nice to have my own business. And that's really from early days when I always liked to do my own things and I wanted to be self-employed. And then
So
once
when you were a chef, you could kind of feel like this isn't for me.
yes, I liked the interaction with customers. I think that was nice. But then being in the kitchen was, I think, a bit too much behind the scenes. And I always liked to go out when we had events, and there was the opportunity to be catering and all of this. I really
Sure.
like that. I like the
Right.
hospitality, but the working with customers and helping them and seeing the results, I think, was always something which fascinated me.
Okay. And what town are you from?
Freiburg in Germany. So it's a
Freiburg.
small, between Freiburg and Basel, a small village
Okay.
called Heidersheim. And this is where we started our business.
Cool. Okay. So this is where you said that there was you were working for a hospital, public hospital,
Yes.
and they made some cuts. And so it sounds like that you had to leave that job. And so at that point, what did you do?
I was a bit of a shock, when it's difficult. You build a family and you have a secure income, and then suddenly you are, yeah, you're out of this job, and then
You had a
but then I
you had
don't know
a
what.
you were married with like with kids at that time?
Not yet, but we were just getting married, and
Okay.
then we had a baby on the way, and it was just difficult, yeah.
You're kidding
But
me. You had a baby on the way and you lost your job.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. And so why, I guess, baby on the way, I don't know. At this point, did you say maybe I should get something safe, or do we go for it, or what happened at that point?
My wife was working, so I think that was good that we had one income, and
Sure.
this was already doing quite well, and it was almost again perfect timing to jump into this adventure of opening your own
Yeah,
bicycles.
it is an adventure. It's
Yes,
terrifying.
yes.
It's
But
terrifying.
but it was good. I never thought about it. I thought it's just an opportunity. And for some reason, my mind always goes into solution mode and goes into this excitement mode. And I'm quite a person who gets easily excited about these things. And I thought, what? That's my opportunity. I want to do this. And it really took off in a great way. So soon we realized that was absolutely the right decision.
So you looked at your wife. Tell me about that. You looked at your wife. You said, "Okay, you have a job. This bike business thing seems to be working. I think we can make a go at this." So what did you do? Did you open a shop in Freiburg, or where did you open the shop?
No, actually, in that little village, at that time, we built another place with my brother. He had a car repair place, and we built it together. And I got a bigger space in that hall. It was still very industrial, yeah. And then we moved a couple of times, even within the building. We moved to make the shop a little bit bigger. Then we had our first staff, a mechanic we hired, and that was going on for some time. But the business was doing really well. Then we went into as well some road bikes. We had Principia. We had other bikes we took on board, which was really working well. We had some Pinarello connections where we got some bikes, and we worked with Raleigh, different brands we took on board, and the business was growing.
So you had this shop, had your first employee. It was you. So it was a business that registered for you. And you said your brother was also a partner, or was it just your
No,
business?
no, just my brother, he was helping me, he had his own business, was busy with that, but we were working with each other in the same building.
Okay. And your wife had a full-time job, and you had one
One
child at
daughter,
home, one daughter
one
at home.
daughter.
Okay.
Yes.
And so it sounds like things are going well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
And
then
then
what happened?
yeah, when we went for vacation to visit my brother here in Dubai, always in January because the weather was good in
Sure.
Dubai and weather was not as good in Germany in the Black Forest. And so we thought, okay, that's the best time. And we went there for 2, 3 years in a row, and we kind of saw the city. And it was really the time when Dubai was just on that rise. Plans for the city expansion, for the high-rise buildings, Burj Khalifa,
Are we
Burj Al Arab, the
are,
seven-star hotel. And we
are we
saw this happening.
talking like 2002, 2003, or earlier?
I moved in 2002. So in
Oh,
August 2002, I moved already. So it was 1999,
okay. You
2000,
started going on
2001
vacation, and your brother,
vacation.
what did your brother do there?
He was in real estate, and
Okay.
he has his own business with merchandise equipment and all of these things. So he was here, and the life was good. I mean, it was sunshine. It was just a different lifestyle. But the city of Dubai was completely different in 2000, 2001, 2002. And then we again went to my wife and said, okay, this is our chance. Our daughter was 4. She wasn't in kindergarten, or she was in kindergarten, but not yet in school. And then I said, okay, I feel like there is an opportunity, and can we maybe move to Dubai?
Wait. You just said to your wife, you said you want to move to Dubai. Was it something what did she say?
No, man, I promised her evenings on the beach in the sunset. We could go swimming. We would have a good life. No, but as well, I mean, obviously, everybody knows you can't do this with a partner who is fully supportive. And I think she believed in the story, and she believed in the vision I had. And I said, listen, let's try this. I just feel I want to do something different. And I believe the city is goes into the right direction. And my brother is already there, and I want to try it. Can you please support me?
Okay, but what did you do this for, like, why? Why Dubai? Why this? Because, you know, you had your family, probably
Yes,
I assume your parents are back in
yes,
Germany,
absolutely.
your
Yes.
culture. your history, Europe? Was it for the opportunity to be really successful? Was it to have an adventure? Are you just an adventurous spirit? Is your family an adventurous type people? Like, because this is a big jump.
Yes, I know, and I don't really know what it was. I think it was the adventure. We had no idea that the business was going in this way. And I didn't know that Dubai was developing or that the UAE would develop like this. We had no idea. We just thought we open a bike shop and we do the best we can and see where we're going. But it was difficult to have that vision ahead of things. But yeah, I just felt that I want to do something different. And I always, from early childhood, I just wanted to make something special. And I always like it when people kind of look at what we have achieved, and I feel pride about all what has been happened in the last years. And it was always something which was a big drive for me. And I thought, okay, why not? My brother is here. I put everything I had into this big 40-foot high cube container, a few bikes. We had a good meeting with Scott at the time, and we had bikes from Feld, and I loaded about 100 bikes into a container, kind of all my money I had and some furniture, and I sent it in the middle of August to Dubai. And then a week later, I jumped on a plane, flew to Dubai, opened the showroom we still have on Sheikh Zayed Road, and yeah, started to unload the container, which was in front of the door, and then building bikes and kind of then waiting for customers, which was quite challenging because it was, yeah, I remember kind of picking up the phone and I couldn't really understand what people were saying because my English wasn't as good. I just learned English in school in Germany, but it wasn't the best. And obviously we have so many different nationalities in the UAE, so the English they're speaking is sometimes a bit difficult. But I realized that this was not as easy as I thought it would be, but yeah, it worked quite well looking back.
So, so I guess the mindset is your brother was successful, I presume.
Yes,
So you saw that there was something happening there. You said, okay, if he's
yes,
making it work, I think I can make it work as well.
yes,
And it sounds like your wife is also someone that is curious.
yes,
And because I'm also an expat, I live in Italy, but I'm from America. And I don't know if this relates, but when I was younger, and I would like when I went to college or I went to high school, I remember there was a French or a Canadian exchange student, but he spoke French. He was from Montreal. And I just remember being so incredibly curious about this person. Wow, you speak another language. How does that work? And then so there's just this curiosity inside you that you just need to feed.
yes.
And I think that's a similar story. What you're saying, you're like, something's here. We got to try because did you kind of think, okay, I've kind of done everything I'm going to do here in my
Yes.
village. So either I move to, a tier one city or whatever, or we try something. Because were you already thinking about how are we going to expand?
Yeah, not really. The first thing was make that one shop successful. I think that was it. And
No, I
I
mean
want
back in
different.
Germany, back in Germany
In
before
Germany,
you.
no, it's too competitive. In Freiburg, this area around the Black Forest and towards France and Switzerland is a beautiful area for cycling. And there were so many bike shops which really, really were successful and did really a good job. And I think we were one of them, but obviously in a smaller scale. But I felt like there were too many other competitors which were really inspiring me to do something. But I thought I want to do something different. And for some reason I got to know about Dubai with my brother, and then I thought, okay, that's maybe my opportunity. And
Okay.
it's always difficult in the moment you make such a decision. It's maybe difficult to see it, and I was really hoping it would work, and I knew how hard I could work and how much effort I would put into this. And yeah, I gave it my very best effort, and this really for 10 years because we needed to grow a market because not a lot of people were cycling, and that was kind of as well a bit of a surprise for me because we did some counts on events for bikes. There were some triathlon and road cycling groups, but they were very small. And I thought, okay, maybe if I start repairing bikes and selling bikes, then more people will join. But it took a long time. It took 10 years to really create a scene which was sizable enough to sustain our shop. And it was a tough time for us where sometimes financial constraints were there. I remember the day when we were trying or we were thinking of taking our daughter out of school, and because the school fees came up, and we didn't really have the opportunity. But when I said to my wife, no, we have to keep her in school. I just need to work a little harder, and I need to make this work. And this kind of pressure made me even work better and harder and be more consistent. And it was a really challenging time. And it's looking back, it's always nice, obviously, if something works, and I wouldn't like to miss it. But we had some challenging days. But I think every business has this. You know, I mean, I heard a lot of the stories you told on your podcast, and it's almost for every business owner. And that time, the market was growing, but for a lot of people, that was really challenging. The same for us.
Right. Right. So you're there, the market's completely new, you're having a hard time kind of communicating, but so there's sort of this, were you the first, one of the first bike shops? Was there already a bike shop in the
Yes.
town?
Yes. There was a small shop selling kind of very basic bikes, and then there was one track store where we're selling bikes. But I saw the opportunity, I think, with the skill set
For the other
of being
brands?
a mechanic, I think the hospitality mindset, the community building, and then we always had this, you know, these moments where somebody came in and bought something very special, and we really had this good connection with customer from the royal family of Dubai, the
Sure.
royal family of Oman, and special people walked into the store and were really happy that we were there, and that we could build this community. And people didn't, when they moved to Dubai, maybe they didn't think about cycling, but then we were there to help them to get into road cycling and mountain biking. And I think this expat lifestyle, when you move from a community you're used to, and you're used to a new country, and you just have, let's say you have only work, and then you get a community of like-minded people to exercise together. That was interesting how we were bonding people and how we created these friendships amongst other people. And that was great that we could see that happening, and that was a big motivation for us. And obviously, the other thing is I needed to make it work. I had everything invested what I had, and I wanted to make it work. I didn't want to go back home and say it failed. This was not on my cards. I didn't want to do that.
When it was most difficult, can you tell us a little bit about that? Like,
2008.
were there some low
uh,
moments
yeah.
where you said, man, like, I don't think this is going to work. I think maybe we need to close up shop.
Yes. It was 2008 actually, when before the financial crisis, because the market in Dubai with real estate and overheads, and the cost of living in Dubai was just skyrocketing, and it was just difficult for us to maintain. We were only kind of selling bikes, but we were trying every year. We were trying to catch up with rents, and as well for our team, for our staff, it was challenging to maintain, to up the salaries that they could sustain the living. And then I remember one day I was at Eurobike, and we were doing our orders, and I remember I got a call from my landlord here in Dubai, where we're renting the shop. And then he said, oh, unfortunately, the showroom has been rented again. We found somebody who's paying us almost double the rent
Wow.
for it. And I remember that I kind of, at that moment, I knew it's over, because I was obviously buying equipment for the next season, and I was making contracts with people. But I thought, okay, I don't have a showroom. And I remember kind of walking out of the hall in Eurobike, and kind of standing outside taking that call. And then I had a few moments where I just kind of sat to the ground and said, okay, that's it, it's over. I
Your stomach kind of
I gave
dropped.
just everything kind of folded, and I thought, okay, I don't know what to do now, because I have no place where I can operate my business. And after a few minutes, I collected myself and continued. And I thought, okay, I have to go back and see, maybe I find something else. And luckily, when we came back, the crisis happened, and the other person removed the offer for the showroom, so we could keep the showroom. And I think that really, I would always say, the crisis in the real estate market, and this saved us, because we were just that were a market correction on a lot of levels, and we continued our business. And yeah, then as well, the investment of the government of building cycle tracks, and more interest and more people getting into sports cycling, picking up all over the world. That was really something where we could feel it, and our business took a nice trajectory towards being more successful.
So you're still in the same showroom?
Yes, yes. But now we have altogether 12 different business units. Yeah, we
Okay.
have expanded quite
Yeah,
quite a bit.
tell me about, so sounds like we got into, you're moving. I guess now maybe you want to tell me a little bit more about what what the gradual growth is, because you said you have 12 business units now. So you started with the bike shop, obviously, and it
Yes,
sounds like you were able to be successful because of the growth of cycling in the country. Sounds like there are
yes.
some very high net worth individuals that are interested in cycling. So perhaps you guys were able to also sell some really premium brands, I presume.
Yes, yes. We work
Um,
with Chicago, with Scott, with Cervelo, with Factor, Yeti, Santa Cruz, Viello. There's many brands we represent here in the region. No, it's working really well.
Premium brands.
Yes,
And
premium brands.
so as you kind of grow this business, you mentioned 12 business units. So tell me about kind of
Yes.
how it developed.
So like obviously the whole bicycle industry, when COVID hit the world, we were first in Dubai, went into a lockdown for 3 weeks, and it was a complete lockdown. Everybody had to stay at home. And that was obviously a very challenging time because we didn't know how long it would last. I remember when the UAE tour was happening in Dubai, and we had the first cases from athletes and from staff. And then they were locking them in, and people came in that full hazard suits to check. And I think that was the first things. It was February of I think 2021 or the 2020 when COVID broke out, and then this was nobody knew and if people would really die on the spot, and everybody was taking, or the government of the UAE was taking extremely high level of precaution, and people were kind of locked in the hotel rooms, and we were trying to help with indoor trainers and supply them with stuff. So it was quite an interesting time. And then after the 3 weeks of complete lockdown, we were able to open in a smaller capacity, but then the demand on sports and bicycle was like around the world was tremendous, and we sold everything and anything which had two wheels, and got people first on indoor trainers and then bicycle equipment. The bicycle tracks were opening, and the gyms and everything was closed. So the bicycle industry, I think at that time was doing really well, and we were kind of in a supporting function as well to just make things work in the UAE and keep people active, and that was good. And then we were lucky that we got an interest from the royal family in Abu Dhabi, which are interested in cycling, and we knew them from before. They were very, very good customers of ours. And they said that they own the team UAE Emirates. They're behind the team ADQ. They are behind the Colnago brand, and now behind Pizay. And so they own a few of the cycling brands. And they said, okay, when we're sitting with our friends, so the Sheikh family and the royal family sat together. And whenever we talk about cycling, we always hear your name, Wolfi, and I think we want to help you to grow the business. Yeah, it's always when we have these conversations. And so I got a call in 2021 or 2020, and I got a call. It said, okay, His Highness is interested to partner with you, and can you come to Abu Dhabi? So Abu Dhabi is the capital. We were based in Dubai, but these are two different Emirates. And then we started a conversation, and they said, okay, how can we help you to grow your business? How can we reach more people in cycling? How can we make this a business as well to come to Abu Dhabi, to come to other cities in the UAE? And that was obviously a blessing. That's an entrepreneur's dream, that the
Yeah.
government and people
Yeah.
that are
How did that
interested.
feel? How did that feel?
Amazing. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? There's moments in life where you know that what you have been working on for 20 years is really paying off, and not financially. It's really the recognition of hard work, which I was feeling, and I knew that the intention of the royal family was very clear to improve life. It was not a financial investment. It was not to make money or something. It was really helping us to reach more people and to get them active and make them sporty. I mean, we're just next week, for example, in Dubai, we have a ride which is called Dubai Ride, and we will have about 25 to 30,000 people on bicycles riding on the iconic Sheikh Zayed Road. We have the T100 coming as well next week to the UAE. We have a big cycling Gran Fondo in Abu Dhabi. We have a challenge event coming. So there's now so many events, and the government is really doing a tremendous effort of bringing sports and activation, because they believe that obviously the people in the country, when they're physically active, and they will be mentally better, they will be in a better physical state, and there's a really true and pure interest of making the life conditions in the UAE just very special.
So let's back up for a second.
Yes,
The royal family
yes,
asked you if they could invest in your business.
yes, correct.
What did you say?
yeah, it was very nice to have that, and obviously it was clear for me that this is the right direction, and but it's not easy. So it was not, you know, I mean, I was self-employed for so many years, and I was running my business, and I remember a conversation we had, and I said, listen, this is difficult. I have one daughter, and my business is almost like another child. It's like my son,
Sure.
and very difficult to let somebody into my family because
Right.
this me, you know, my name is attached to this. It's not just a business. This is everything I will ever do in my life. And I remember having this conversation with somebody sitting in front of me, and then he said, if you want to get your son married with someone, yeah. So we understand your business is your son, but if you want your son to get married to someone, we are the prettiest bride in the Middle East. So you should get your son married to us. And it was just lovely how this was honestly, and I feel this
And,
today,
and they
not
weren't
to brag.
wrong. They weren't wrong.
They weren't wrong. No,
They weren't
absolutely not.
wrong.
And we're really so proud to be obviously chosen and to be part of that family and part of that huge success story which was happening in cycling with Tadej, with the team UAE Emirates, with the team ADQ, that we're really representing the female cycling around the world with Colnago, with the other brands, with My Whoosh. We had the World Championship indoor here in Abu Dhabi. All these events and I was out on the cycle track this morning. I live in Dubai, and there's a cycle track around our community, which is 9 kilometers long. And there's hundreds of people in the morning cycling on these tracks. And that's just fantastic to see how much we made an impact on the society in the last couple of years.
And so you married your daughter, your son off to the the prettiest girl in Dubai in the UAE. So now you have the royal family as an investor in Wolfies.
Yes, that's correct.
And then I presume that they had a development plan that they
Yes.
brought to you. You want to talk about that? I think that could be interesting, but
Oh,
obviously
perfect. We obviously opened an amazing flagship store in Abu Dhabi, which is
new store.
new store on
Okay.
an island. And this island is going to be one of the places for endurance sports and sports in general. It's the Wolfi store, and there's a Colnago flagship store, Colnago Abu Dhabi, which is adjacent to our building, where we're operating obviously Wolfi's as a multi-brand store and Colnago as an experience for customers who want to buy the brand. There's a
Sure.
beautiful restaurant and a coffee shop in there. We've been featured in GCN as maybe possibly one of the best bike shops in the world because we have a mountain bike track on the island, which we purposely built. We have a road cycling track. Velodrome is under construction. We have a
Wow.
sports hotel under construction, a high performance center, which we're
Wow.
running at the moment, but will be expanded. So this island is going to be a place where athletes looking for the best training
Yeah.
conditions around the world
Destination.
will come to this destination, Abu Dhabi. And then we opened yeah, this is what we do in Ireland. We have the Abu Dhabi Cycling Club there, which is a cycling club from the government to promote cycling. We have a big rental facility in there. We have a high performance center where we're testing athletes and making sure they get the best possible bike fitting and all the options we can offer there. We have a cycling academy, Wolfi Cycling Academy, where we go to schools and we teaching children how to learn. We just want to reach the next generation of young adults to get into cycling. We acquired an events company called Gulf Multisports. This is October last year, and they're operating events like Abu Dhabi Marathon, the triathlon on Yas Marina circuit, which is the Formula One circuit. They're helping all around the UAE with big sports events in running, in triathlon, in cycling. We do the event Gran Fondo, and we're active in a lot of different events spaces. And then Wolfies as a retail location where we have 6 different retail locations around the UAE, 2 in Dubai, 1 in Elaine, which is kind of the green oasis of the UAE, where we have a big mountain, Jebel Hafid, which you see normally during the UAE tour. They're riding up there. It's about 1,000 meters elevation and about a 8 to 10% average climb. And a beautiful place because it's a lot of greenery then in the desert. That's a nice place. And we have one on the Formula One track, a retail outlet where you can ride your bicycle on the Formula One circuit when it's not just Formula One season. Now, at the moment, it's unfortunately closed because we're preparing for the end of the season for the Formula One, but normally the track is open 2 days a week. So we have done a lot. Yeah, we are now about 150 staff working for Wolfies, and yeah, we're quite
150.
yes, 150 staff. Yeah.
Wow. How many
overall.
shops? You said six shops.
Stores, yeah. And then the distribution company, we have a big warehouse facility and a distribution company, Wolfi Sport Trading, where we're reaching the whole Middle East region to supply with all kinds of equipment from all our partners. We're dealing with about 65 different brands from all around the world, and we're distributing them. We're SRAM partner, Abus, Lake, Design. We're representing quite a lot of brands in the region.
Wow. Okay. This was a turn this is an amazing turn. Can you tell me a little bit about what it was like and what it's been like to really ramp up? So it sounds like you've done all this in the last 3 years. And has it been more stressful than starting from scratch, starting running your own business? Like how it has to be really, really complex to have all these things happening. Can you tell me
Yes.
about that?
Yes. I think, first of all, obviously, I'm blessed with having a good team, and some of the people have been with me for 15 plus years. And I think we have a very, very strong base and very committed people. I think for us as a business, we're a very purposeful business. And I think this is good because people can identify with what we're doing and they can find themselves because we're promoting a very healthy lifestyle and we're getting people together. And I think that's where our strength, our core strength is coming from. Yeah. And I said, we're at our 20th anniversary, and I said to the team, I think we have one of the best jobs in the world. If you think how we start with children to get them into cycling, and we have people in all age ranges to 60, 70, we creating communities. We are good for physical and mental health. So I think this is a strength where people can really, yeah, as I said, identify with their work, and that is very important for a business. But yes, it was challenging. The world market was challenging. I think COVID and all the undersupply, now the whole situation with the overstock. We are not, maybe sometimes we're a little bit in a bubble here in the UAE, but at the same time, when the market is under pressure and we see that a lot of companies, unfortunately, are in difficult situation, it was challenging for us as well. And then obviously growing the business to many multiple locations, but before having one location and being with the team more or less all the time, that made it more challenging. But again, I luckily my mind goes into a good mode where any kind of challenge I see as a real opportunity to make things better. And I kind of feel like, okay, bring it on. Let's see, test me and see how we can do it. And we have really done a lot of work, and it's as well nice to see. I mean, when we had Wolfies in Dubai, I think we had a very, very strong business, and maybe I would almost say one of the strongest retail businesses in the cycling industry around the world. But at the same time, we were a bit restricted because we had one location, we had a very clear setup, and it was almost like a house with a roof on top, which was very solid. And now with the extension to other locations, I think we opened up a market as well for our team, and we could see that team players we had in our business had the opportunity to show what they had learned in our Dubai location, and we sent them to Abu Dhabi. And I think it just opened up a whole new range of opportunities for people. We have now 3 different general managers who run the Gulf Multisports operation, who run the retail operation, who run the Wolfi Sport Trading operation. We have a nice support crew, support function with finance and social media, graphic design, and all of these functions. So I think we really, and it was a nice challenge for me to see all of these things growing and provide an opportunity for 150 people to work at a good place and work on a good purpose.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about, so it sounds like with regards to before this kind of expansion, which is an amazing story, but I also wanted to talk to you about what it takes to be successful in a bike shop, in your opinion. You know, aside from, you know, obviously the opportunity that you've been given to partner with the family has been a whole nother story, I think. This, in terms of like how a bike shop is needs to be successful. Can you talk about that a little bit? I mean, I guess maybe we'll have to go backwards a little bit in time.
Yes.
But I
Yes.
think that was one of the things that I was very curious about is, you know, you've got a location. How are you going to grow that business? And how do you see, like, what are some of the top 2 or 3 most important things that a
Yes.
bike shop needs to do to be successful, in your opinion?
Yes. You know, I mean, I think building a community was very important, that we were very friendly to all the customers coming into the store. We had this hospitality mindset, which brings me back to my early days in my
Sure.
apprenticeships I had. So really looking after customers and really feeling responsible that when a customer walks into the store, that we wanted to have this 5 or 6 or 7 star feeling of a hotel. So I think everybody who has ever walked into a beautiful hotel and has this feeling how hospitality staff and people at receptions or in high level restaurants are looking after you during your stay or during your evening. I think that was always something which inspired me. And we wanted always to have Wolfi's to be a very special a Wolfi's experience and looking after customers and providing them with the best possible equipment. I think it was always important for us to really be extremely careful with the brands and partners.
So so you're saying create a community, assortment.
Yes,
Assortment is a really big part of it. So
yeah,
partnering up with brands that, so are you constantly watching like are brands, in your opinion, they're kind of climbing into where you consider them to be acceptable, and then some of them
yes.
fall out of obviously the nature of the business
Yes. We always
constantly?
want to make sure that we have the best possible products in the market, and we're constantly monitoring the market. We're constantly on the watch and seeing what's something new and exciting and where we feel we're adding true value. This year, for example, Eurobike, we bought one of these or two of these machines to break in disc brakes. Yeah, and there's a company called
Break
Sinter, and they make
break in disc brakes?
break in.
Okay,
This is a machine where you put your wheels on and then you kind of it rotates and you apply a certain pressure on the brakes. Because I always felt it was a problem that, for example, when bikes left the store, that the brakes weren't functioning properly. And so this was something we invested this year. For
sure.
example, every bike we're selling is we do always a bike sizing where we're working with a company called Radlabor and SmartFit, and we do a laser guided measurement and we compare all the data of the customer with all the bikes we have in store, and we selected them to make sure that the customer gets a really special experience. And we take a lot of time. We spend a lot of time with the customers to make sure they really get a full explanation of everything they need to know. Yeah, and we take them on rides. We organize rides for our customers on the cycle tracks in Dubai. So I think it's a something
Community,
where we're striving to
assortment,
be.
and then it
Yes,
sounds like you were talking about being able to provide services that are.
yes,
So in terms of a sort, like what are you dedicating most of your energy at in that regard? You're probably like, how do you're constantly reading about bikes, you're constantly talking, you probably are talking to people. Like what exactly does, in your opinion, because it sounds like what you're telling me is a bike shop needs to be a sort of a evangelist for some physical community,
yes,
right? Where they are the experts of what is happening in the industry, and then they translate that into something that the people in the local area can come in and they can on demand have all that. So you're sort of like a consultant in that regard, and you've also got, is that a fair assessment?
yes. And I always feel like if you would say what's the biggest focus for me, it's always customer experience. It's
Okay.
really important that customers feel they have been looked after. And I say, for example, we don't pay a commission to our sales team. We pay them a fair wage, and we trying to encourage them to really be a friend and take the customers by the hand and be a success manager for the customer and really make sure they understand what the customer is looking for, what's really the best product for the customer, and make sure that the experience is the best we can provide. And we take a lot of inspiration from the hospitality, which we have high level hospitality in the UAE, but at the same time from luxury retail, which we have as well plenty of here in the UAE, and there's a lot of competition in the market. And I'm always inspired if I go to Dubai Mall or Mall of the Emirates and I see these big malls and I see what these companies are doing and what level of customer experience they take their retail experience right now. But I think if we do that and we provide all of the things you mentioned with a good selection of products, with a good service, with a good workshop, with a community events, and I think then that's for us, it was the solution and it was the key to success.
Right. And so having partnered with the UAE, the royal family, you guys designed this business plan, and now at this point, is it sort of at the level where are you guys at the kind of the maturity where of this business plan that you came up with, or is it at what point are you guys right now?
Well, I think we are still not where I wanted to be, and maybe this will never really happen. I think that's sometimes quite challenging for my team because I always feel like we can do better. Yeah, I think we have a very high level we have achieved, but now, for example, we have the Velodrome Abu Dhabi under construction, and I think we're going to have a retail space there, and we need to learn about track
Track
cycling and all of
cycling.
this is the next challenge. I think with the events company, which we have since 1 year. I think now this for the next year, I see a lot of focus on business integration, that we make sure that all of the business units we have now open are working simultaneously together and making sure that
Optimized. Yeah.
our CRM system is up to date, AI is used wherever we can. We want to make sure that obviously the experience is a bit a seamless experience from events into maybe getting a new bike and doing all of this. I think this is a big growth. The cycling academy is something really close to my heart. I think that's a bit of a legacy project where I want to reach more children. And I said to the team that in 2027, I would like all children in the UAE know how to ride a bicycle. That's something we set as a goal. And with this, obviously doing more events and getting just more people active and simply enjoy a bike ride. And this is what makes me happy when I go every morning. I'm on my bike before I go to work. I train more or less every day and seeing all the people around me. And I want all the people really to experience sports, hopefully cycling and live a better life.
And so I just I'm amazed that you went from selling bikes out of your garage to having sounds like the biggest bike, I guess, chain now in the Emirates and one of the most respected bike shops in the Middle East, probably probably the most important one. What on that journey, I guess, now as where you're at now, you're not focusing on, the customer comes in and you have to take care of that customer. What do you focus on day to day now that it's a much bigger beast that you're having to sort of manage?
Yes, I still enjoy being on the floor, and for example, Saturdays is the day where our office is mainly or is mostly closed. Most people are off on Saturday, but I'm here with my team on the retail side, and I'm spending time on the floor, meeting, greeting customers, seeing the processes, and still enjoy just having the connection with customers. And I think it's quite important that obviously I'm seen and people in yeah having an interaction with myself, but from a business point of view, yes, it's a lot of work as well with the government. It's a lot of work with the sports councils. It's a lot of work on developing new concepts, cycle tracks, the cycle tracks on the island, seeing the whole infrastructure of the UAE as well, that we can help there. New plans and events business is something quite important for us, and having these conversations with the leaders and then trying to create new partnerships and new connections with other brands in the UAE. We're speaking to Mercedes-Benz. Tomorrow we have an event where at their location where we have a mountain bike race, and we are trying to create a mountain bike race scene around the Mercedes-Benz Experience Center. They have a test track for the G class, and so we're using this. And all of these events are quite important for us to connect with other entities in the UAE and reaching big corporate companies to activate their staff and use our rental facility and use the cycle track or the mountain bike track on the island in Abu Dhabi. So this is really the work I'm doing right now, and helping the team, helping wherever I can, helping my general managers and my team on the higher management level, and share with them what I have learned over the years and trying to make them better and see them progress in their career.
So but you have these business units, and I presume that, I guess I'm trying to understand it from more of a, how you see these things. You've said there are 12 business units.
That's correct.
And so you've got, I presume, income, like profit and loss of all 12 of those. You wake up in the morning, those 12 they all need to be green, right?
Okay.
And if one
Yes,
of them's red, you're going to go see what's going on. Why is this red?
correct.
Correct?
Yes,
And
that's the days. I have a very, very good financial team They're looking after that. They prepare all the numbers. So I get a dashboard overview from all of the business units. Then we have individual meetings with the general managers of the companies. We have on Thursday, we have our team meeting where all the managers and the support team comes together on a higher level. We discuss the things, we align on things. And then it's, as you said, if business units are doing well, obviously that's good to see how can we do even better and how can we maybe
Sure, but your time is limited though, Wolfie. That's where I'm trying to understand is like
yes,
this is a huge operation,
yes,
and I'm just trying to understand and give people the view of when you wake up in the morning, what are you thinking about? And I understand that the overarching goal is to increase cycling in the UAE. I get it, and to make it more, but from like when you're working, like what is it? Is it so you're looking at these 12 business units, like we said, and they have to all
yes,
be green. And if they're not,
yes,
we're going to go see what's going on. And then
yes.
obviously you have projects that are happening above that that have to be also green, or you need to have an update on how those are going. Am I envisioning that correctly?
Oh, that's correct. Correct. And I have certain days of the week where I meet with certain leaders of the team. They know on this day is the day where I focus and I have a focus with them for a couple of hours. And other days is then I'm meeting with my people and culture team and I'm meeting with business development team. I'm meeting with the marketing team. And so my week is fairly well scheduled and I leave some time obviously for other events which are coming in maybe unannounced. But then yes, sometimes it is quite challenging with so many different things and so many activations and things coming our way, which adds a bit of a challenge. But at the same time, I enjoy that. You know, what I mean, I enjoy being challenged and having different things brought to me, and I'm quick. I'm able to make quick decisions and help the team to take this further. But no, it's a good situation. I'm very happy how we're doing right now. Yeah, because it's all we're going in the right direction. Business is doing well, and yeah, it's nice. It's all good.
Yeah, it sounds great. And was it hard for you to go from being one man show to having to delegate?
Yes, yes. And I'm sure this is sometimes still difficult for my team because sometimes I want to dive in real deep and sometimes that's challenging. And I think to a certain extent you have to let go. But I have many moments where I had a certain idea of how something could look like. And then I see my team and I let them do it and it comes better than I envisioned it. And that's these moments where you learn, okay, so listen, you have your idea, but they have learned what you had to show them. But now they're taking their own ideas and adding them, and now the end product is even better. So it's good to see that. You know, I mean, I know as well. I'm 54 now. There will be another couple of years, and then I want to build a strong leadership team where they take responsibility for their business units, and I have a great team where they're really taking good care of their unit, and it's great to see. And I mean, I take a lot of joy and a lot of pride out of the opportunity I have presented and I take when you mentor someone and they really take this and they take it to the new level and take it to even better level than you thought it could be, that's a fantastic feeling.
Yeah, no. We're coming up on an hour, Wolfie. I want to respect your time today, but this was really an amazing conversation. This was much more than I could have expected in terms of, being able to provide a journey, an amazing journey of an entrepreneur. I think that the the people that follow this podcast are going to really enjoy hearing your story because it's an amazing story. I guess before we close out here, is there anything that you want to say, or any, like, if people want to reach out to you, get in touch with you, what's a good place to find you?
I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, we have a great website, and I would invite everyone. Listen, if you're from the bike industry, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. Or I'm on Instagram, Wolfi DXB or Wolfies. You can find all of these things, and I would love to connect with everyone. I think it's a great industry. I think we should all remind ourselves that we're really helping people to get better in life, and that we're doing something really special for the people around the world. And things are easier when you have a bike ride.
That's
Life gets
right.
better. And please come to the UAE and visit us. February is the UAE tour. We have a fantastic event coming up, a challenge in Abu Dhabi, where we have a full distance challenge triathlon, 180 and the full Ironman distance on Sir Island, which is an island in front of Abu Dhabi. And we're going to have a cruise ship where all the participants will be staying on a cruise ship and then entering the island for the event itself. So there's lots of things happening in the UAE. So everybody, please be invited. check it out, what we're doing. And if you come here for a visit to Abu Dhabi or Dubai, come to see Wolfi's and we go for a bike ride together.
Yeah, I hope I can make it out very soon. It sounds pretty amazing. So thank you again, Wolfi. It was great meeting you, and we will definitely hopefully see each other soon at a trade show, or like I said, hopefully in the Middle
You
East, in the desert.
Yes, and I think you're doing a great job. I think it's really something which was missing on the. I'm listening to podcasts almost every day, and I get inspired from all of the stories. But I listened to almost all the episodes you had presented, and I reached out to almost everyone you were talking to, and I get great connections there. So I think you're doing a really good job, and you found your niche. And thank you. Really enjoyed the conversation, and thank you for having me. I really feel I'm in a unique circle of leaders of the cycling industry and that I was featured there makes me really proud. Thank you.
Well, thank you too, Wolfi. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.